what is an LO and what do they do? So if you've always thought about getting into a career around real estate, I think the first thing that comes to most people's minds is I'll get my real estate license. But there are all these other careers and jobs in the real estate industry that are lucrative, that have flexible schedules, and have a ton of potential. And being a LO or loan officer is one of those careers and jobs. And this video is going to share with you what an LO does and what it looks like. I'm Megan Marsh, co-founder of Keystone Alliance Mortgage, a mortgage and commercial brokerage where we help families and businesses get the financing that they need, but most importantly, we educate you about the process and everything that goes into purchasing a home or a building. Welcome to our channel. Make sure that you subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications if you're in the market to buy a house, buy a building for your business, or maybe you just want to know what a loan officer does, or you're considering a new profession and you've always wanted to know what a loan officer is. I did not go to school to become a loan officer. I don't even think I heard or knew what a loan officer was when I went to school. I went to school for accounting, got a job in a big accounting firm, did audit, looked at taxes, didn't want to do it, and left that field for an opportunity at a mortgage brokerage to become, I didn't know what I was going to become, but I ended up being a loan officer. And I'll never forget, after the first week I went into the job, and the days flew by. I was talking to people all day, helping them do something that they were excited about. And here 16 years later, I've never looked back, and I don't think I'll ever do anything but being an LO in the mortgage industry. And so a loan officer is someone who helps families or individuals obtain a mortgage to get money. So if you are trying to buy a house, if you're the customer and you want to purchase a home for $250,000, my job is to talk to you, look at your credit, look at your income, and decide if you qualify to get a bank to send you $250,000. Even though they're never going to meet you, they aren't going to know who you are, they're depending on me as a loan officer to qualify and send that bank everything about you. So let's dig into it a little bit deeper so you understand what the job entails, how you get paid, what the schedule is like. And really, it depends on where you work. So if you are interested in getting into the real estate industry and getting into the financing end, maybe you're a numbers person and you're like, that sounds like something that I could be interested in. So what your job as a loan officer will look like, it's going to vary wildly depending on where you work. So in my case, I went and worked at a small mortgage brokerage. And a brokerage it's an independent company that works with lots of different banks. And I always enjoyed working at a brokerage because I am representing the people that I'm helping. I'm not necessarily representing the bank. It doesn't matter to me where I place them. And at a small brokerage like that, you are going to it's up to that owner how they run their business, what activities that you do, what banks that you're going to learn. Versus if you go, let's say, to a really big bank, the ones that most of us know are your Bank of America's, your Wells Fargo's. You can be a loan officer at a big company like that. And big companies like that have some pluses and minuses. You're going to get a lot of training at these companies. And then you also have more of your local banks. There are loan officers at the local banks. And your local banks are going to probably, I would say the biggest difference, besides just learning that one bank versus a broker who learns a lot of banks and a lot of loans, is that the pay structure. So the pay structure is a little bit different also depending on which of those three you would choose. And there are some other options in between, but those are the main ones. Because when you become a loan officer, you are building a book of business. You are a salesperson. You are learning a product and you are selling a product to the people that you work with, that you're helping. And so that would be my number one piece of advice for anyone who's considering getting into real estate in general and a loan officer. Do you like to sell? Do you like to pick up the phone? Do you like to go network? Because you need to tell people about what you do. And in case it's not a surprise, Most people don't think about you. They think about the house that they want, but they need to get a loan in order to purchase that home. It's essential. And I personally believe that a loan officer can have a huge impact on families and the financial decisions they make, because not every family works with a financial advisor. Not every family invests money, but most families have that goal of wanting to own their own home. And there's so many different loan options out there. It's become a very complex industry that having a good loan officer who guides you, who guides a family, who tells you the products, looks for good rates, they're worth their weight in gold. You're building this book of business. A lot of loan officers are 100% commission based, which is really scary. If you're watching this and you were like, all right, I'm getting excited, I could do that. And then you just are like, Megan, you just said 100% commission based. I did. And I did not want to do it. I literally had to get kicked over the ledge to try that. I went from accounting, one of the most traditional jobs, to a 100% commission-based sales job. So that's where you have to know that you're going to sell, you're going to pick up the phone, you're going to go out and meet people, tell people what you do. If that's not for you, but you still enjoy the sound of becoming a loan officer, that's when I would say look into working at a local bank where customers are walking in the door and you're helping them with your needs. You probably won't earn as much as you would when you're in a full commission-based job, but it would give you that security and a good starting foundation. Same thing with the big banks. And there's also some of these hybrids where it's salary plus commission or bonus based on how many loans you do and what you sell. So sales is a big part of it. And you do need to know numbers. So people who do loans, who do mortgages are number crunchers, right? But it's not number crunching like you think. So the best way to kind of compare it is if somebody is a tax preparer, right? They're dealing with numbers. They're putting numbers on a tax return. But those numbers are not necessarily like you're figuring out these huge algebra calculations. It's more understanding how the numbers apply to different loans is the best way to understand it. So don't worry if you're not a big mathematician. I'm not either. But I'm a really good problem solver. And that's what I would say is one of the most important skills too as a loan officer, is to be a good problem solver, to be able to analyze situations and pick out the best pieces and products for the clients that you're representing. And so if an accountant or a CPA saves people a ton of money because they know all the write-offs, it's the same thing as a loan officer can save people a ton of money by picking the right loan products, putting them at the right bank, and structuring loans the right way for their clients. You might also be thinking, okay, what kind of degree do I need to have taken to become a loan officer? Because I went to school for education. Well, loan officers actually don't need a degree. You don't need one at all. So if you didn't go to college, you still can become a loan officer. What you do need to do is you have to pass a test. It's a national licensing test that you take, very similar to if you needed to get your real estate license or were getting it, you have to study and pass a test. So that is the only requirement. But one of the other aspects of being a loan officer that I believe makes some of the best loan officers is it's a job where you're always learning. Always. You cannot think and be stagnant and learn one way and think that you can help everyone, because you won't. You'll miss things. The Fannie and Freddie and all the places that you do loans with have pages that are thousands of pages deep with rules and regulations, and they change all the time. So as a loan officer, you are always learning. You're always learning what changes, how to help people, what to fit them in, what you can do, because if you're not always learning, you're forgetting things, you're missing things, and it's gonna turn into a nightmare for you and for the people that you're helping. As a loan officer, you are a team player. I like to compare it to being the quarterback. You are constantly working with a variety of people. So when somebody goes to buy a house and they find that house, they go under contract, well then it's your turn, you're up, and your job is to get them to closing. Closing happens through all these other people. So as a loan officer, We are working with the clients. We're picking out with them the best loan product, the best bank, the best rate, the best mortgage insurance. Then we're ordering the appraisal from the appraiser, and we're ordering title work, it's called, from the attorney's office or title company. And then we're contacting the employers and doing verifications that the person is working there. And we have a processor we're working with, and an underwriter we're working with, and a closer that we're working with. It's a lot of people. So we are quarterbacking the loan transaction and making sure that everything is going as smooth as it can all the way until you get to closing. The other thing, you need to be a good communicator. You might have heard, or if you've gone through a loan before, that people say, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the next step is. People don't get mortgages very often. So to be a good loan officer, you need to be able to communicate with your clients so that they feel comfortable, they are educated about the process. You know, you're helping them through this thing that is just so foreign to them while they're stressed out. And that kind of brings me to my last piece of being a loan officer. Through the years, I have found that I'm a counselor. I'm a therapist or a counselor, because people will find a house and they're all excited, and then they have buyer's remorse and they don't want to buy the house anymore, but then they do want to buy the house. Or maybe they're in a house, but then they're getting divorced or they're splitting up, and they are just at their wit's end, and they're calling and they're freaking out and they want to call every day. So it's so important that you're communicating with them, that you're calming them down, that you're reassuring them, that you're preparing them, that you are being that cool, calm person during this storm, and you are letting all parties involved, as that quarterback, as that leader of the transaction, that you are the one that is going to get them to home plate, going to get them to the end. It's a very rewarding career. It is something that I absolutely have loved. It helped me get into becoming a business owner. It's helped me learn about just so many different things. And if you are interested in understanding a little bit more about owning your own business, starting a business, becoming a loan officer that builds their own business, you can check out our other channel, which is the Collab, where we share all the tips and tricks of growing a business, and which has always been founded in being a loan officer. So if you'd like to find out more, we've put a link in the description to the other channel. We'd love to have you over there, have you check it out. But for now, I hope that this gave you the information that you were looking for about the profession of being a loan officer. And make sure, if you haven't, to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and we will see you next time here at Keystone Alliance Mortgage and Capital. And if you are looking for a loan and now you know what your loan officer does, there's a link in the description as well, so that you can click it and get connected with someone on our Keystone Alliance Mortgage team.